house at Chicagoland Speedway, watching the caution flag fly over the Tropicana 400. It is waved because a piece of metal has come off just at the exit of turn 4 by the double lines that they use to mark the restart point on the racetrack. And so the yellow flag flying today for a 6th time in this race. Jeff Gordon was overtaken by Tony Stewart, but the caution comes out quickly, and so
he's the dog, the lucky dog.
He's barking.
He becomes a lucky dog, and I've heard him say that he doesn't believe in the lucky dog.
He will today.
But he might believe in it today.
I guess he doesn't have to take it, does he?
No, he doesn't have to. He
not
can
a rule
refuse
you
it.
have to take it.
Here's where Gordon got passed by Tony Stewart.
Jeff held him off for a long time, a lot longer than I thought he was.
And then about a lap later, the caution came out. And once the leaders go to pit road, Jeff will be waved around the pace car and come back around and make his pit stop and join the tail end of the field. Been talking about the word tight a lot today. If you're new to NASCAR, it's the slang term that the drivers and teams use to describe a car that won't turn very well.
Let's go inside the Home Depot garage and try to explain to you what tight is. The car goes in the corner. When the car's perfect, the tires are green. But when they turn red, those front tires turn red, the rear ones are still green. You turn the steering wheel, it just won't turn. It goes up the racetrack.
And that is an understeering or tight race car. Now, a minute ago, Bill Weber was giving us an update from Jeff Gordon's pit, was talking about changing the clicks on a shock. Demonstrate, sir.
And it's simple as this. See the pink line? Now, why these guys would use pink, but it's 1, 2 clicks, and let's change the shock. And change the chassis.
And I'll try to make this simple so Bill Weber can even understand it. Basically, it's just like a spring. It makes that shock softer or stiffer. So you're making an adjustment. You know, a lot of these guys use tire pressures, and that changes the spring rate. This is kind of another way to change the spring rate. Did you understand that, Weber?
I doubt it.
You were perfect, Wally. I was speechless.
He's getting ready for pit stops is what he's doing. As the leaders come in, what will be at lap 174, and we go to Marty.
Elliott Sadler on the back into the road, back into pit road. Currently running 4th car, slides the nose just a little bit in 1 and 2. He said, I don't know what to do to keep up with these guys. Car's just about perfect. Half around up on the track bar, trying to loosen them up just a little bit. Dave?
On the bottom of your screen, Rusty Wallace's car a little bit tight. Track bar adjustment in the right rear. Also pressure into the right rear tire, Matt.
Tony Stewart now just a smidgen on the tight side. They're going to back up an air pressure adjustment they made on the previous stop, Bill.
Sterling Marlin gets 4 tires, gets a tear off removed from the front windshield, waiting for the lefts to tighten up. The car's good, no chassis adjustment. The race is on.
Oh, he almost did it, but I think he got out right behind Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, I'll say 20-48 there, Johnson and Tony Stewart.
Well, that's what I just said.
All right, here we go. It's Tony Stewart comes off pit road first. Now, the question is, where does Sterling Marlin fit in this deal?
Ooh.
Oh, how do you
beat
judge
him.
that? I guess he's 4th.
Yep, Elliott got him.
And Jeremy Mayfield. Everybody on the lead lap that pitted there, 4 tires on the stops. 93 laps to go. That's going to set up if we were to go green from here to the finish. A very brief visit to pit road for some fuel in the late laps. Maybe 2 tires. That's still to come. Tony Stewart holds the lead through the pit stops, and we're under caution at Chicagoland Speedway.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from Chicagoland Speedway is brought to you by Nextel Coast to Coast Walkie Talkie. Nextel, done. By Budweiser, it's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser, the race is on. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. And by Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American Revolution.
No racing next weekend, but in 2 weeks on TNT, we have a triple header of coverage for you. Bud Pole qualifying from New Hampshire on Friday, July 23rd, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday the 24th, 1 Eastern, NASCAR Busch Series Racing, presented by Midas. And on Sunday, July 25th on TNT, NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from New Hampshire, 1:30 Eastern. Coverage, of course, beginning with Discover Card Countdown to Green.
Get a week off. We need it.
Yeah, I know you've been working so hard lately.
Yeah.
We didn't want to overwork you here. Wanted to let you get back in the flow.
Be ready.
Slowly. 90 laps to go on the restart. And 21 cars on the lead lap. Tony Stewart, the race leader, followed by Jimmy Johnson, Elliott Sadler, Sterling Marlin, and Jeremy Mayfield. Casey Mears in the 41 is the first car car a lap down in 22nd place.
Tell you what, every restart so far today, somebody has had a problem. It looked like the 88 had a problem that time on the restart.
Well, Jarrett restarted in 9th place.
As we watch this battle, cars going in turn 3. Jimmy Spencer was not able to get up to speed quickly in the 4 car. All right, Jimmy just right there behind Tony Stewart. Can he do anything with him?
Take the whoa. Boy, that car looked like it got a little bit loose in there. Jimmy Johnson, that 48 car. Now you're two of them, you got to figure out how to get around them. That's the really tough part. Tony Stewart's been working that bottom lane, so Jimmy's going to have to look at the high side to try to make a pass.
And I tell you what, when you do that, when you move up the racetrack just a few feet, it makes that racetrack so much larger and turns the engine maybe a couple of hundred RPMs more than you're turning it. And sometimes these things will not run 400 or 500 miles.
Jimmy Johnson, even if he finishes second to Tony Stewart today, going to gain some ground in the Nextel Cup Championship standings. Remember, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was involved in a wreck a little earlier, and Jr.'s running 22nd, a lap down.
You know, another problem with that BP is your engine will peak out sooner because you're running more RPMs on the high side. So your engine will fall off quicker when you get down the straightaway. They make power up to a certain point, then they go flat.
This is as close as anybody's been to Stewart for a while. Johnson looking outside.
Here we go. Now he's looking inside.
Crossover.
He's got a fender.
He's there.
Still outside.
Outside someplace. Tony Stewart in the 20 car has not been today.
Great job,
Jimmy Johnson.
Are the man. Do it.
New leader.
And I think Tony gave him a little bit of a break there.
Why?
Well, because it was close coming off of that turn 4. And I think if Tony could have stayed in the throttle, he would have gotten that 48 loose. I don't think he wants any more of that today. I think he was pretty nice about that move because the 48 was sliding right up in front of the 20 car.
Could have also taken his fenders off, too. If he stuck to the outside of Jimmy and Jimmy didn't know he was there.
Yep.
Been something kicked around the last couple of days. We want to kick around with you our singular race talk poll. There's a lot of talk that NASCAR is going to implement a green-white checker finish system for the Nextel Cup Series, similar to the one they use in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Certainly been some displeasure expressed by fans at a couple of tracks, races finishing under the yellow flag, and we want to know if NASCAR should change the rule in order to guarantee a green flag finish, like now, later this season, not at all, or next season.
I think that's going to be an easy one. What the answer's going to be.
I'm not going to sway anybody's opinion. Just vote your heart, folks.
There are some people who would prefer not to change the rules of competition in the middle of a year. We'll find out.
Don't try to sway these people. Let them vote their hearts.
Let the people vote.
That's right.
That's why I wanted to just offer the options and see what the people feel.
Okay. All right, we'll find out.
1 million. Wait a minute.
Caught your eye, huh?
Where's the phone?
Jimmy Johnson gapping Tony Stewart by about a half a second. I talked with Chad Canales, Jimmy Johnson's crew chief, this morning. They spent a lot of their time in yesterday's final practice scuffing tires, putting a brand new set of tires on the car, going out, running a half a lap with it, then coming back in. And I asked Chad the purpose of that. He said because there have been some minor inconsistencies between the sets of tires, like you said at the top of the broadcast, Wally, they want to know what they've got on the car when it comes down to this part of the race.
That's right. You go out and you run 2 or 3 laps on a set of tires. If you don't like a set of tires, if there's a set of tires that are scary, you're going to know it in those first 3 or 4 laps. So it's exactly what they were doing.
Battle for 4th position between Sterling Marlin and the silver 40 and 19 Jeremy Mayfield. Mayfield has the measure of him now.
And makes the pass. Terry Labonte joining the fray there in 6th position, Bill.
And if you think Jeff Gordon was the lucky dog on the last caution, Terry Labonte was probably the lucky dog. This is the right front tire off of Terry's car after just 53 laps. You can see right here, Wally and Benny, all this rubber is gone. Terry
couldn't feel it. The car was just starting to get a little tight. This was a scuffed tire when they put it on. A lot of talk about that here, as Alan was alluding to. So that's something we'll have to watch for in the closing laps of this race. Tire wear, a problem yesterday, and a question perhaps down the stretch here at Chicago. Sometimes the track can cause that. Sometimes the setup can cause that. Sometimes the tire. Sometimes a combination of all three.
But Bill, what did they do to fix that?
They took it off.
What did they do to fix it for the next one?
They made a chassis adjustment there, a wedge and air pressure adjustment. I'll double check with Jim Long to find out.
Yeah, I was going to say the air pressure adjustment is what's going to do it. The reason that's happening, in my opinion, is that they're starting the tires down too low on air pressure. What that does is that builds the heat up too fast. When you do that with these tires, they separate, and that's a lot of it. Another problem, BP, is a control arm issue, but I don't think that's the issue here. I think it's pressure issue here.
When I talked to the Goodyear engineers this morning, that's what they felt like the problem was a tire pressure situation where the teams, in trying to make their car handle, had dropped the pressure down too low.
Right. How about Terry Labonte by Sterling Marlin into the top 5. He's chasing his Hendrick Motorsports teammate Jimmy Johnson, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series championship leader. Tony Stewart has dominated the day, but as we get into the final 78 laps, it's Jimmy Johnson who's the man out in front in pursuit of his 4th victory of the 2004 season.